Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. May Allah's peace, blessings, and mercy be on all of you. Today we are going to do a very interesting surah which is connecting to the last one. We did Surah Fil. Actually, this is a continuation of Surah Fil, and that is Surah Quraish. Now, I'd like all of you to open your Quran and keep it in front of you so that as I explain, you know exactly where I am. And then, the more you see, the more you learn. So you listen and see. So first, open your Qurans, and preferably if it is with English meaning, it will be better. Of course, I'll be explaining, but have the Quran in front of you. Now, let's begin with Surah Al-Quraish. Now, some of the companions of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, they actually viewed this surah and the one before it, Surah Fil, as one surah. And so some of them, they would not even recite Bismillah. Before every surah, we say Bismillah Rahman Rahim, and then we begin reciting. But between these two surahs, that means in the beginning of Quraysh, some of the companions, they would not even say Bismillah because they regarded this as one surah because the story is continuing. So it is also possible that they did this in order to highlight the strong connection, between the two, that it's just one. So they both need to be understood together. Both these surahs, they need to be understood together because they complement each other and they are like grammatically connected. Surah Al-Fil, which we did last time, discusses the security of Makkah. Abraha's story, that how Makkah got secured by Allah. And this surah discusses the prosperity. For any society to prosper, it needs both of these things: prosperity and security. So that needs to be secure, and you need to be prosperous, and only the country or that community or that city is successful. Now we need to understand that the safety and prosperity of Makkah was due to the supplication or dua of Prophet Muhammad. We learned it in the last class, which he made. He made this dua when he was building the Kaaba with his son. Who was his son? Ismail alayhi salam. So the Ibrahim and Ismail, father and son, peace be upon them, they were building, and that was a dua Ibrahim alayhi salam made, that may Allah make this city of Makkah secured and peaceful. He asked Allah to make Makkah safe and fill it with all kinds of fruit, because it was a barren desert without life. Because if it's barren, that means there are no plants growing. And if there are no plants growing, that means there's no life. Even human beings could not live there. And he requested safety from Allah when he did the dua, because in the desert, you are more susceptible to being attacked by the looters. So when you're traveling, you don't have these kind of, safe roads we have these days that you can just call 911. It's not that. It used to be like just empty deserts, and people used to just like walk, or just they are on camels or horses or whatever, and they could move with their caravans and the carts they had. So due to the fact that the Quraysh were considered the custodians of Kaaba, just because they had custody of Kaaba, they would be left alone when traveling in the desert because of the respect the Arabs had for Kaaba, because they were the custodians of the holy Kaaba. Now, the objective of this surah, Surah Al-Quraish, and the one before it, that is Surah Al-Fil, it is to show Allah's favors on the Quraysh so that they worship him in gratitude and become his slaves. So it's just showing the importance. Now, why were Quraysh? Who were the Quraysh? Quraysh were the people who lived here in Makkah. They're called Quraysh. So now, why were they called Quraysh? From where did that word Quraysh? So let's like look a little bit in the historical background of this surah in order to understand the meaning of this surah very nicely. So when you pray, you will know exactly when this surah was revealed and how this surah was revealed and what was the background, what was the story which took place on due to which Allah came with these verses. So to understand the surah well, it is essential that we should keep in view the historical backgrounds relevant to the contents of this surah and Surah Al-Fil. Now let's see what is Quraysh. Quraysh comes from the word taqarrush, means to gather people from very different distances, from different places, just to bring them together. Now the tribe of Quraysh, actually the people there, they were scattered throughout Hijaz until the time of one person called Qusay bin Kilab. He was an ancestor of our holy prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was his ancestor. Now Hijaz, the people in Hijaz, he got them together. He brought them together to Makkah. Now Hijaz, what is Hijaz? It's Hijaz is the western province of Saudi Arabia. You can say that, and that the western province, that it includes Makkah, Medina, Jeddah, Taif. Those who have been there will know, but that entire region is called Hijaz. Now, Qusay bin Kilab, he was one of the ancestors, and his son was Abdul Manaf. Abdul Manaf's son was Hashim. Hashim's son was Abdul Muttalib. Abdul Muttalib's son was Abdullah, and Abdullah's son was Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So you know, like 1, 2, 3, 4, like fifth, he was like the fifth generation or sixth generation prior to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now let's see, this all started from this great-great-grandfather of our prophet, Qusay bin Kilab. He gathered many tribes and founded a city-state, founded a little small state in Makkah. He just called all the tribes from the neighboring places, and he formed a small state, and he made excellent arrangement for the welfare of the pilgrims coming from all over Arabia. You know, from where did they come to? To Kaaba. The pilgrims, they used to come because, you know, the gods, all the idols were all kept around the Kaaba, and the pilgrims would come to visit. So as a result, the Quraysh were able to gain great influence among the Arabian tribes and the lands. So they were like very, very influential. The Quraysh, the people who got together, because they used to come here and they started treating them so well. They felt so welcomed. Now, after Qusay, when Qusay bin Kilab, when he died, his sons, they took over, and then his grandsons took over, and his great-grandsons and great-grandsons. So it just like was carried forward. What Qusay bin Kilab had established, that was just carried forward. Now Hashim ibn Minat, he was the grandson of Qusay. He was also the great-grandfather of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Hashim, he was the one who first conceived the idea to take part in the trade that passed between the eastern countries and the eastern part of Arabia and of Syria and Egypt, and people used to travel through that part of the thing. So he says, okay, we should try to, have that business come towards Makkah. Now the reason was to purchase, why he wanted this business, why he wanted the trade to be in Makkah. The reason was to purchase the necessities of life for the Arabians. So they needed things. So he's saying, if the business comes here, we'll be able to buy just things to make our life more comfortable. So this way, the tribes living by the trade route, they bought these goods. They were buying these on the route where they were traveling. So all the tribes, at certain intervals, there were little tribes. So they bought these goods from them, and the merchants or the traders living in the interior of the country, they were attracted to the market of Makkah, in the markets over there. So the traders would come to Makkah because that became the main market. Now, as against the other Arabian caravans, there are not only the Quraysh, the tribes, they also, they were trying to do business, buying and selling goods, taking it from one place to the other. So as if you compare it against the other caravans, the Quraysh had the advantage that the tribes on the route held them in very, very high esteem. Why did they hold the Quraysh in higher esteem than any of the other tribes? Why? That's because Quraysh were the keepers of Kaaba. See, they were the custodians of Kaaba, and they stood indebted to them for the great generosity with which the Quraysh treated them in the Hajj season. Every year they came for Hajj. The Quraysh, they treated them so well. That is why the Quraysh felt no fear that their caravans would be robbed or harmed in any way, anywhere on the way. Wherever they would go, nobody would touch their caravans, and they were free to move very, very safely. They had no fear. So the tribes on the way did not even charge them, the tribes which were on the way. So it's like a toll, like when you go from one place to the other, one city to other, you have to pay a toll to cross, correct? So here also the tribes, if you had to pass the tribe on the way, there was a tribe, a little, say, a village or a town. So they had to pay taxes there. So they did not charge them, the Quraysh were not charged any transit tax. The other caravans they passed, they had to pay. So they didn't have to pay, the Quraysh. So it was a win-win for Quraysh. Look, people came to Makkah to do business, and when the Quraysh went with the caravan, with all the goods, the other tribes, they just let them pass. There were no taxes, no toll, no transit tax for them. They had to just move, and also they were very safe. Nobody attacked them because they said, "Oh, how can we attack them?" So Makkah became the most important commercial center of the Arabian Peninsula. So now we know that we know that the Quraysh were prospering and flourishing when the event of Abraha's invasion of Makkah took place. So remember last time what happened? Abraha's invasion took place at that time. That time when Abraha was coming to attack them, remember what happened at that time? That Quraysh at that time, what were the financial conditions of Quraysh? It was very good. They were already flourishing. They were already prospering. So and when Abraha came, they were a prosperous tribe. It was a prosperous state. They were very happy, and Abraha came to attack them. Now, what would have happened had Abraha at that time succeeded in taking over Makkah and destroying the Kaaba? What do you think would have happened? Now, if Kaaba was destroyed by Abraha, if Allah had not sent those birds to pelt on the army of Abraha, a few things would have happened. Number one, the glory and the renown of not only the Quraysh, but of Kaaba itself, it would have been faded away. The importance of the Quraysh and the Kaaba itself would have faded away. Secondly, the belief of the pre-Islamic Arabia that the house was Allah's house, that would have been shattered, because all the other tribes, they had their idols over there. If Abraha would have come, they would have broken down, crushed all the idols, and all the neighboring tribes, they would have said that, the house of Allah, I mean, the trust in house of Allah, that means the Kaaba, would have been shattered. It would have been gone, and they would not believe anymore the house or believe in Kaaba anymore. Thirdly, the high esteem in which Quraysh were held for being keepers of the house. What is the house? Kaaba. Throughout the country would have been tarnished. The Quraysh, they had like very high respect all around. So that respect of the Quraysh would have been heavily tarnished. Now, the Quraysh would have lost their importance, so would not get the guaranteed security. Now they're getting the guaranteed security of trade. So they would not get that security because now they are not important anymore. So they're going to treat Quraysh like any other tribe, and they could not move freely and would have been taxed by other tribes on their routes. So when Allah showed his power, that the swarms of birds destroyed that 60,000 troop brought by Abraha. He brought 60,000 troop, and he got by Abraha, and they were pelted with stones. Remember, they were pelted with stone, and from Makkah to Yemen, the soldiers who were going back, they were falling and dying on the way. So you remember that after all this event took place, they tried to go back to Yemen. And on the way, so many soldiers, they were just like dying on the road due to that disease which came from the open wounds they had. So the faith of the Arabs that the Kaaba indeed was Allah's house increased many, many fold. See, now after this event, and the glory and the renown of the Quraysh too was enhanced considerably throughout the country, because after this everybody like believed more in Kaaba and had more respect for the Quraysh. So after this incident happened, they had even more respect. They said, oh, they are really the chosen ones. Look, they came, the Abraha came with 60,000 people and elephants, and nothing happened to them. So now the Arabs were convinced that they were under Allah's special favor. So therefore, the Quraysh, they visited every part of Arabia fearlessly, and they passed through every land with their caravans unharmed, no harm. Nobody even touched it. No one would dare to touch them with an evil intention. They would all respect, they all welcome them, and you can pass through the tolls freely. Now, not to speak of touching them, I'm talking about touching them. Even if a non-Qurayshite, a person from another under their protection, if he's passing and somebody knows, okay, this small tribe is under the protection of Quraysh, he would also be able to pass unharmed because they know this particular tribe has connections with Quraysh. Oh, so don't touch them. He's their buddy. Don't touch them. It was like this. So now let's understand like the theme and the substance of this surah. All this was well known. Now what happened? All this story was very well known, and it was very, very fresh in the minds of people during the time of Prophet's Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's appointment to the prophethood, when he was appointed by Allah to be the prophet at the age of 40. So at that time, this whole incident of Surah Fil, the whole incident was very fresh in the mind of people, and every child knew about this incident. So there was no need to mention the whole incident to the Quraysh. That is why in these 4 ayahs of Surah Quraish, that is why in this small, it's such a small Surah Quraish is a very small surah. So Quraysh were simply asked. The story was so fresh in minds. Allah did not need to repeat the story. So Allah in this Surah Al-Quraish asks the people in Quraysh that when you yourselves acknowledge this house, correct? That is the Kaaba, you're acknowledging it to be Allah's house and not of the idols. And when you fully well know that it is Allah alone who has granted you peace by virtue of this house, Allah has given you peace. You see, Allah like shooed away Abraha so that Makkah remains peaceful, and Allah made your trade and commerce flourish. And when your trade and commerce were flourishing, Allah as a result, when your business was good, Allah also saved you from poverty. And He favored you with prosperity. So you should then worship and serve Him alone. Why do you worship the idols alongside with Allah? So this is what this whole surah is about. So let's now begin. So Quran, just please open your Quran, Surah Quraish. Let's do the first ayah. Li-ila fi Quraish. That means li-ila, that means for the security, or you can say for the convenience of the Quraysh. Li-ila fi Quraish, for the security of the Quraysh. So He did this to make the Quraysh feel secured. Allah did this, and He turned what Allah did. How did He make them feel secure? He turned the Abraha army into those chewed up straws. In Surah Al-Fil, for asfim ma'kul. That means He turned them into those straws which were like chewed up. Remember, I had given you example of the cow. When the cow chews up, what happens to the straw? So that's what happened to the army of Abraha, so that they would never be ambushed again. So when this happened, now the tribe of Quraysh would never be ambushed. But this ayah is a continuation of the discussion from the previous Surah Al-Fil, correct? It is as if to say that Abraha's army was destroyed for the convenience of the Quraysh, so that they could be safe. So this was Allah's plan, bigger plans. Now, after the army was destroyed, the Quraysh were considered sacred people in Arabia. They all said, oh, wow, these are the real sacred people. They were protected by Allah. And their reputation as custodians of the Kaaba became like even more like solid. Therefore, no one in the peninsula of Arabia would mess with them. No one could mess with them. Now, let's see the word ilaf. Le-ilaf. So, ilaf means to feel secure. Now, it comes from the word ulfa, which means to have affection with somebody. Ulfa means to be easygoing with somebody, or to have a soft heart towards someone, to have your feelings change to someone for the better. Like instantly your feelings, somebody you didn't like or you didn't know, instantly your feelings change and you like that person instantly. It means that it means to make the love happen between two people immediately. Something so powerful happens that you completely soften your heart. Now, the implication here in the context is that Allah has granted so many favors to the Quraysh, especially with regards to defeating Abraha's army with that divine punishment of pelting of the stones by the birds. And their hearts should, now when this thing happens, their hearts, that means the Quraysh's, their hearts should soften immediately to Allah, correct? Because they saw that we were about to perish right now. We were about to die, and look what Allah sent these birds. So they should have been having that feeling to Allah of softness, that, oh, that Allah did this to me. So for example, let me tell you, when something like amazingly good happens, what do you say? Instantly you say, oh, thank God. Don't you say that? Oh, Alhamdulillah. So instantly from your mouth, without even thinking, you instantly say thank. Like for example, if say you are just about to go or have an accident, and instantly somebody pulled you and you got saved, or you are going to have a big loss and you just got saved. What you say? Thank God. You say that, isn't it? Alhamdulillah. You just instantly your heart becomes soft and you just thank Allah. Not only Allah, even if some person is saving you, you thank that person also. So instantly you have a soft feelings, good feelings to that particular person who saved you. So what is the lesson we learn from this? Now, the lesson this teaches us that our hearts need to become soft before you turn to Allah. You cannot turn to Allah with hard hearts. If our hearts are softened, only then we can maintain our relation with Allah. And what's that relation? The relation of master and slave. The relation that he is our master, he is our slave. Why are we his slave? Because now we have totally submitted to Allah. That's why we say we are the slaves of Allah, because we totally submit to Allah and we totally say whatever Allah does, he does it for the better. So whatever happened over here, Abraha's army, they came over here, they were going to come and Allah saved them. It was even better for the Quraysh, because after that they gained even more respect. After this happened, they gained more respect, and even Kaaba flourished even more. Now let's come to the next ayah. Ayah number 2. إِلَافِهِمْ رِحْلَةَ الشِّتَاءِ وَالصَّيْفِ. This means their security. It's repeated again now. إِلَافِهِمْ is their security in the caravan or the journey of the winter and summer. So Layla fi ilafihim rihlat. Rihla means in the caravan or the journey of Shita. Shita means winter, Saif means summer. So in between the winter and summer, the journey. So secure in their winter and summer journey. It means this. Now, meaning Allah destroyed Abraha's army so that the Quraysh could do their business travels in safety and not be threatened by his army. Now, the Quraysh used to travel in the winter and the summer months to do business. They used to do business outside Makkah. Remember the great-grandfather Hashim of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he started the business. So they would start traveling, the traders, they used to go back and forth outside Makkah. In summer, they would go up north. It's hot, so they would go up north because it's cooler there in Syria. They would go to Syria. In the winters, it is like little cooler down south, and they would go to Yemen. So their trade depended on the what kind of season they have, the winters and summers. So winters down south, summers up north in Syria. And as they were the Quraysh, as they were the custodians of Kaaba, they would be safe crossing the Arabian desert. They didn't have to bother. Now let's come to the next word, rihla. Rihla means journey. The word of rihla means journey. It means a journey in which you carry a lot of baggage. It's that kind of a journey where you're like when you travel when you're traveling to far away places for a long period of time, don't you carry a lot of bags, 2-3 bags with you? So that is called a rihla, when you go for a long journey. So the traders used to travel with lots of bags. And what were the reason? These days we travel with lots of bags because we have our own clothes and our own, maybe if you're going to family, you have taken gifts and all. But in those days they didn't have a lot of possessions. They were very simple people. So they would carry goods to sell. They would carry their own, whatever things they had, to sell their fruits or vegetables or clothes. They would just carry all that to sell it to the other countries in Yemen, in Syria, or even in the eastern part of Arabia. So the implication in this verse is that despite them carrying a lot of baggage, a lot of bags on their journey, they are still safe from the robbers of the desert. See, they were still safe. Now, let's come to the third one. فَلْيَعْبُدُوا رَبَّ هَذَا الْبَيْتِ. فَلْيَعْبُدُوا, so let them worship. Rabb is the Lord. Hada is this. Al-Bayt is house. Now, so it means, so let them worship the Lord of this house. House. When in the Quran it said house means Kaaba, because that's house of who? Kaaba is house of Allah. So it's called a house, Bayt. Now, meaning, how shocking is it that despite Allah's favors upon the Quraysh, they still refuse to worship the Lord of the Kaaba, and instead they give more importance to the idols. Now, another meaning is that because Allah granted them all these favors, which softens the heart of these favors, they should soften the heart. They should worship instantly when this happened, when they got so many favors, they were saved, their business was flourishing, the people in Makkah were all well-to-do over there, and still their heart is not softening. Are you not thankful to Allah? Don't you see that Allah has given you such good opportunities and still you're worshipping the idols? So this, it means this. The Kaaba here is emphasized here. Rabba Hazal Bayt. Why Bayt, the Kaaba? Why is it emphasized? It is emphasized because it is of that very building that all the blessings are coming to the Quraysh. These blessings, just because of Kaaba, people are coming to do Umrah and they're coming to do Hajj. And when these people come here, the business comes with them. People are coming, then they will definitely, when they come there, they'll buy food or whatever their needs. They're going to buy from the market of Makkah. So this verse also shows us that the proper way to thank Allah for his blessings is to enslave yourself to him. Verbal gratitude alone is not enough. So what I learned from this is that when you pray, just don't don't move your mouth and just go up and down and pray and just run away. You should be grateful to you. Now we are learning the meanings of these small surahs and Fatiha. So when you pray, try to listen to this very carefully and try to understand and recite. When you recite, try to understand what you're saying, and then you recite, and you will really enjoy your salah if you really understand what you're saying. Now let's come to the last ayah. Alladhi at'amahum min ju'in wa amanahum min khawf. That means who has fed them, saving them from hunger, and so who has fed them, saving them from hunger. So if you are saved from hunger, it means what? You're prosperous. So here it's talking about prosperity. Because you're saved from hunger, that means it's prosperity. And then the other one, min ju'in wa amanahum min khawf, and made them safe from fear of who? Fear of the other tribes. They were safe from the fear of the other tribes. So if you are safe from the fear of the tribes, that means it's security. So here in this ayah, it's talking alladhi at'amahum min ju', that means those who were saved from power, from ju' means hunger, those who were saved from hunger, so that is prosperity, and those who were safe, that is security. So this ayah is the central message of the surah and the previous. Both these surah combined, this ayah is the central message, and this surah is speaking about the prosperity, while Surah Al-Fil, it was speaking about security. Now the implication here is that the only reason all of the favors were given to the Quraysh was so that their hearts could become soft. Why? Because they were worshipping idols, and Allah wanted their hearts to be soft so that they understand that what big mistake they are doing by worshipping idols and not Allah. Now, one of the reasons Allah gave them such security and prosperity was that they do not need to be more preoccupied with their worldly life and can focus and give more time on worship. Now, if they have to work very hard and they're struggling to work to satisfy their minimum needs of daily life also, then they will be so busy that they won't have time to remember Allah. So Allah bless them with enough wealth, enough money, so they can have time to focus on worship, isn't it? So now if we think of why did Allah emphasize that he provided them with food to ward off the hunger? So he's telling them that despite the fact that Makkah is a desert which does not grow food, remember it's a desert, there is no food, there is no agriculture, no vegetation. Despite the fact Allah has provided them with provisions so that they are not hungry. So Makkah is just a desert, and they've got all rocky mountains, but look what happened. It flourished so well because the people started coming. I mean, I'm just speaking about this, and it's just reminding me of Dubai. That Dubai or even Saudi Arabia right now, if you go to those who have visited, you will see some years ago, Dubai or Saudi Arabia, it was just like desert. There was absolutely nothing there. But now Dubai has become like the destination over there. And if you go there, you will actually see like green grass and flowers on the roads and all. So how that place, a desert, has turned, it doesn't have agriculture, but it just turned into a tourist destination. So this is exactly what happened with Makkah. Makkah literally turned into I won't say like tourist destination, but I would say religious destination. So even today, Makkah and Medina, it is a religious destination. People go there, and then naturally, when you're going, you're buying things, you're eating. So then there's more business for the people who live there. So that was the end of the Surah Quraish. Now let's recap about what were the lessons we have learned from this surah. So I've just pulled out 4 or 5 points. If you have more points, you all can let me know now. First point is that always renew your sense of the blessings of Allah, the Almighty, and take a lesson from the Quraysh community. Look at what happened to that community. Let's take a lesson from the blessings of Allah, that how many blessings Allah has given us, and beware of getting used to the blessings, and just you get used to it and forgetting the blessings. Just as the Quraysh did, they did the same thing, taking everything for granted as if it's your birthright. Like, okay, you have food, you have clothes, shelter. I understand that's your birthright. But everything else you get is not your birthright. It is the blessing of Allah. See, even the food we eat is a blessing of Allah. But okay, I'll say, okay, we need food to live. Clothes, okay, we need clothes to cover ourselves. We need a shelter on top. But do you need to eat if you're getting big big meal biryani, or you're having some great food every day? Do you really deserve that? You just need something small to eat. So when you get something more richer, that means that's definitely a blessing of Allah. You see the other people, there are many people in the world who don't have even food to eat. So instantly, so do not take that food which comes on the table, do not take it as your right. It is a blessing from Allah. So let us not forget. So this is a small example of food I gave you. Like this, there are many examples in your life. When you think of it, that maybe you could not have got it. Maybe Allah, you are just one of them who got it. Now, okay, so that explains that. The next point is that the Quraysh's position on the basic human needs to build society of the states, the basic needs. So they built so if we work hard to uplift our communities, then we will be financially satisfied and get more time to do charity and contribute, and we'll get more time to contribute to the betterment of our own community, our own city, or our own country. And the next is that the importance of adjusting the scales or the pyramid of basic needs. Now, these basic needs include worshipping the Lord of the house. Who's the Lord of the house? Allah. So we need, our basic need is to worship Allah, feeding the poor, and safety from fear of safety. So be safe from fear, safety of fear. So these are the basic things we should have. And our hearts, the one more thing we learned in this surah is that our hearts need to become soft before we turn to Allah. When our hearts are soft, if our hearts they have softened, only then we can maintain that that deep relationship with Allah, the relationship of master and slave. So may Allah give us the wisdom to apply all this in our lives. And this is the end of Surah Al-Quraish. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.